Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Barnabas Brushes. My name is Patrick. I play the character Barnabas Quint on the Elite Encounters Pathfinder Second Edition. Whew, I can talk. Pathfinder Second Edition live play on the Elite Encounters channel. You can see the banner up there above me and the channel itself down in my recommended channels below. We stream Pathfinder Second Edition every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, playing a homebrew world set in a fantasy setting called Iota Dree. We had our very strange episode last night, but what we do here at Barnabas Brushes, we actually paint miniatures to use in those Elite Encounter shows. Good afternoon, Peliquim. Thanks for popping in. So at Elite Encounters, we play live in studio at a table, face to face, with our character sheets, our dice, our miniatures, our terrain, just like we did in the old school days. No virtual tabletops. We play around a table, so to speak, like I like you're supposed to. Jinx, what's happening? Thanks for popping in. Appreciate you coming by. Last time we met here at Barnabas Brushes, we were working on some new Epic Encounter models. The Epic Encounter, uh, let's see, yeah, here we go. We just started in on the Camp of the Bandit Twins. Epic Encounters is a line of miniatures produced by Steamforge Games. These kits come with a series of models, a booklet that has a number of encounters to use those miniatures for, a small double-sided flip mat, all to basically create a small adventure for your favorite fantasy role-playing game. This is written for the most famous, most popular fantasy role-playing game rule set, but it's easily converted to Pathfinder Second Edition, which is the rule set we play at Elite Encounters. Last time we met, we were working on the stone golems that come included in this kit. They call them, well, earth elementals, I suppose. Uh, but they're kind of some rocky dudes animated by these magical lodestones here. You can see on this model we worked on last time. They also have this plate here, this rune engraved plate suspended here in the model. So yeah, as Pelican stated, the second model, which I've already kind of primed in black to work on today, we're gonna do kind of a slate color. This kind of mossy gray green rock uh, was cool for this one, but I think this one will set it will pop it off with a slate color just to make them differentiate on the table, make them look a little bit different. We'll also need to go in and highlight some whites on the snowy base we're going to do here on both models once we get to that part. So before we start really laying down our colors with our speed paints, we're going to have to do a slap chop prime or a grisaille style prime. The slap chop is basically a technique of dry brushing from a black or a dark kind of shadow tone through a mid-tone and all the way up to a white highlight with a primer. That allows the speed paints to lay on an underpainting and really kind of create and pop out those transitions from shadow to highlight. Good evening, Mike. Thanks for popping by. So we'll get started working on slap chopping up our second elemental here. And to do that, like I said, we're going to do dry brush. So I need to get out some material to dry my brushes on. Right now I use paper towels. There are a lot of people that are converting over to a dry brush kind of palette, which is a conglomeration of plastic and bits and sand in a little tray that you can dry brush onto to get the excess paint or primer out of your brush. Uh, the preference of using a dry brush palette like that, a textured palette, is that it doesn't wick all the moisture out of your brush, allowing for smoother dry brushing. But for me, using the inexpensive makeup brushes that we've been using, I don't seem to run into that problem very much using these little $2 brushes. This is just eyeshadow blender brushes. Um, But we'll see. Maybe one of these days, as a project here on Barnabas Brushes, we'll have fun creating a dry brush palette. I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know if I have enough plastic bits and bobs to really make one that's got enough texture. Uh, Maybe if um, I don't know, have some excess plastic bits laying around, I'll work on it. In the meantime, let's slap chop up. So I've already started with a black acrylic polyurethane blend primer. I'm going to go in now with my middle tone gray. Uh, and to do that, we're just going to get a little bit of paint on the end of the brush here. Just kind of dip the bristles in, and then we're going to wipe all the excess out on a paper towel using a circular motion, getting all the excess pigment out. So when you look at it with the naked eye, it doesn't look like there's anything really on there. And then we start slapping away. The texture of the model will pull the primer that's still left in the brush right out onto the model. Start bringing out some of this detail. Use a really easy downward stroke to recreate where light is shining from. And you can see, even though there's not really a lot of visible pigment on the brush when you look at it, when you pull it across the model, it does start coming out on that texture. Last night's Elite Encounters Soul Severed episode, we were still searching for what we needed to get back our friend Sivril, and brought that search brought us to the elemental plane, into the fire realm. Much to Barnabas's chagrin, he wants nothing more than to get the job done and get out of there. But we got a little sidetracked, a little waylaid, and now we're sucked into another quest, another investigation, another mission of sorts. And Barnabas is worried that we're going to lose track of rescuing Sivril. But if helping out this oracle last night will get us closer to having the means to help Sivril, then we're all for it. I think B-Rock got his toenails painted. Sunshine had a spa treatment. Esteban was entertaining some folks, being Esteban, I suppose. Yeah, yeah, he's not sure. He's out of his element. Very uncomfortable. Not sure how to react in such a setting. I think we're in a pretty good spot with our grays. This is starting to kind of define the model's texture. It almost looks like art from a graphic novel, or that what was that movie that was kind of a lot of black and white art? Sin City. Kind of reminds me of Sin City. Oh, that's a neat idea, yeah. But at what cost, right? Okay, so now we're going to go to the next layer of primer. We're going to use a white primer this time to get those highest highlights brought out. Yeah, for a lot of people, our most sorrowful memories are what shape who we really are. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. we've fairly well defined our texture here. Let me get a little bit more highlights on the base. We got this kind of snowdrift texture with a skull buried in it for some reason. Okay. All right. So now we've got a pretty decent slap chop prime on there. Those shadows and highlights are pretty well defined on this texture model. So let's play with some colors. The first thing I want to do is paint that skull down on the base. For that skull, we'll give it a little coat of pallid bone from the Speed Paint 1.0 line. Gives it kind of that older bone look. So the skull is kind of buried. It's got some snow drifting over it, so we're going to have to be mindful of that. That was easy enough. Just a quick coat of pallid bone on that exposed skull. Let that dry down. Alright, now we want to make this guy slate. And for that, we're going to use Gravelord Gray, which will give us a nice gray with some deep dark shadows. We could highlight that up to a lighter gray, potentially. But this usually does the trick, looking like a nice stone color. We've got a fairly large brush for this. I'm going to lay this on fairly heavily too, to really get those crevices filled in with this dark kind of black shadow color. All right, so that's already drying down to reveal some of those shadows and highlights. I'm going to get some more paint out. I'm going through quite a bit. Big models are fun to paint. I think they usually are easier to paint than small, like PC, player character size models, because you can really just slap the paint on there willy-nilly, whether you're layer painting or speed painting. The downside is they take a lot of paint, and well, paint's not cheap. Be creative, I guess, and you can always thin your paints, even speed paints, just a little bit with speed paint medium uh, to give them a little bit more stretch, I suppose. Just bear in mind that will tone down your intensity of your hue. But that may be what you want, and sometimes the hue may be too intense in the straight out the bottle color. Some of the speed paint colors are very vibrant, and if you want to tone them down, you can thin them out a little bit with the speed paint medium. Sometimes you might want a very bright, vibrant color for certain cloths or certain creatures, maybe, and sometimes you want to tone it down a bit, not be so cartoony. Right. So that's still really kind of wet and shiny, so we'll give that a chance to kind of calm down and chill out. You can see the skull is already starting to dry down and take on its bone color. Those individual teeth are visible. I'll start working on this the plate that's kind of between these kind of prongs here, as well as the chain. So this one we've already done up with the kind of the steel chains with this kind of bronze plate. So we'll put that same color on our model we're working through. Going back to our small detail brush, we'll just get this little bronze plate here. Okay. So while that's drying, I'm going to try and create a glowing effect here on this bronze plate from the other model. So I'm going to take a very thinned out white primer. It's almost a watery consistency. And we're just going to let that white primer just flow into the rune as it's carved there. So you just have to hold the bristles to the edge and let capillary action pull that into the rune. So now we've got some white. There's a reason for this. We'll let that dry. So that's going to basically create an undercoat for our glowing effect we're going to put in this rune here. Okay. this side to dry. We laid this on pretty thick, so it's still very wet in places, so we don't really want to mess too much with anything that'll bleed that out into where we don't want to have colors bleed together. So we definitely want to let this dry. We can paint in those chains. I think for this set of chains, let's try Broadsword Silver. This is instead of that darker enchanted steel, we'll get a little bit brighter chain on this guy just to set him up a little bit different. All right. Except for the fact that I have a clogged tip. So I don't want to squeeze that bottle too hard and blast my paint everywhere, so I'm going to get out the good old pokey tool and poke the dropper bottle tip here. Just about every miniature painter that I see online has experienced the blasted dropper bottle. Lost a lot of paint. Just like everything else, this stuff ain't cheap, so if I do blast a bottle, I break out a little pipette and I slurp that stuff back up and put it back in my bottle where it belongs. I don't cry over spilt paint, I just recover it. Okay, so we'll let that work its way into the chain links there, kind of shadowing the links and highlighting the bright parts. Oh, actually looks pretty cool. While we're letting that dry, we can take a little break and talk about some of the things we have going on here at Barnabas Brushes and/or Elite Encounters. So, like I said last night on Elite Encounters, we're getting closer to finding what we need to rescue Cyril and get things back in order. Barnabas is having some real trouble in this fire realm. But for us here, we are getting closer and closer to hitting that 50 followers goal. So if you're watching right now and you're not a follower, please do me a favor and click that follow button. Totally free to give the channel a follow. You'll get some notifications when I go live, possibly on your Twitch app. But other than that, I won't bug you too much. But when we get to 50 followers, one of those followers will be chosen at random to win a custom painted WizKids Beholder model. This is the blank model. I have a few of these left in my collection to paint. And I thought, well, why not give one of these to those that are out there supporting me? So when we get to 50 followers, I'll choose a random follower to win this miniature, and I'll custom paint it to your specifications, your color scheme, however you want it. If you want it painted like Zenithar, if you want it old school, like kind of a rusty red looking beholder, if you want it pink and purple, leopard print, black and white, death metal, death makeup. Hey, Evil. What's happening? Thanks for coming in. Yes, always better late than never. A beholder as an animal companion. That's insane. Because, well, that's just insane. And as you can see, as I'm moving this around, some of the eye stalks are coming off. That's because there are some custom eye stalks that have spell effects blasting out of them that you can put into the model. Pink and purple leopard print. I could pull it off. Skid, thanks for coming in, man. Long time no see. Very glad to see you here. Anyway, we're pushing to those 50 followers. So if you know somebody who likes watching people getting miniatures painted or gaming in general, have them stop by the channel and give a follow. Once we get to 50, we'll give that out. Yeah, they're totally eye stalks. Let's see what else. Yeah. So tomorrow evening, you'll probably be able to catch our Overwatch, streaming some video games. They might be playing Farm Simulator. I don't know. Evil's been running him through the ringer on that. So here, let's check the primer on our little plate over here. I think that's about ready to add our spell effect to. So this kind of arcane glow that's coming from the lodestone here, we're also going to apply to that little rune to give it that blue glow, that magical glow coming from that rune. And to do that, we'll use that same plasmatic bolt from the Speed Paint 1 line, but we might thin it out a little bit to give it a glow, give it a little bit more translucency. And then what I'm going to do is I may glaze around the rune to like kind of create that glow effect. That's my goal anyway. Let's see what happens. Like any good alchemist, I'll conduct some experiments. And what better place to conduct experiments than live on Twitch? I know what I'm doing, totally, trust me. Nice, so I'm going to thin down this plasmatic bolt over here in my hard palette, just a 1-to-1 with the speed paint medium. This is the same medium that's in every speed paint, so this acts as a natural thinner for it. And then I'm just going to whip this paint into the rune. Okay. capillary action pull that in. And then we'll let that dry and settle for a little bit. And we're kind of just glazing over the top with that same color. Kind of giving a glow of that pigment around the metal. But since I have that plasmatic blue, yes, oh man, thanks for the traumatic flashback. Yeah, that is true. Better than in a classroom demonstration. Um, okay, so yeah, this plasmatic blue, that it is a great kind of arcane glow color for sure. Apply it to the lodestone on our other model here. And I'm going to be careful not to paint into the gray because the Speed Paint 1.0 does have that reactivation phenomenon where if you roll some wet paint over dry 1.0 Speed Paint, it'll re-wet it and start to bleed it. And you don't want to do that unless you're trying to do a wet blending effect. Okay, so we'll let that dry. We may go over that with another coat. That's a little too white for my taste compared to the other one. I don't know, it's pretty close. We'll see what happens there. And we'll run our thinned primer into this rune over here. Brush is starting to get some wonky tip action. Alright, so we'll let that dry. Yes, I think Cyril and Barnabas have definitely trauma bonded. You can certainly say that. Which is part, I think, why Barnabas is really motivated to get him back, to save him for wherever he is at. Our base now, we can go ahead and looks like we can work on this snowdrift kind of base. So we'll lay down our snowdrift color, kind of that undertone, which is very similar to what we did on the this kind of mossy green brown stone. And to get that effect, we're going to use ashen stone. So kind of give it that bluish gray undertone. the end of the show last night, I think that number one, speaking of trauma, running to get Esteban from the section of the spa he was in was a little bit disconcerting. But once I had him and had the team assembled um, and got back to this abandoned forge, abandoned blacksmith shop, abandoned smithy, I think Barnabas is a little worried that what we're going to find in there. Just what this whoever or whatever took this Pyrrhic gem, this Pyrrhic eye from the Ashen Oracle, is going to be a challenge unlike any other that we faced. Because they call this place home. And anybody that can call the elemental plane and the fire realm in the elemental plane home is a big danger to Barnabas especially. So we'll see. We've been offered a little bit of protection, I suppose, from fire, but I don't know. I don't know if it'll be enough. All right, so we've really just kind of slathered that gray undertone there. We'll let that dry down. That'll probably have to dry for a while before we really hit it with the white highlight. Oh yeah, that was seemed like he was trying to get some kind of communication out to his friends. I don't know. I honestly, uh, for me, I didn't watch that because Barnabas wouldn't see that. So, I didn't want to maybe spoil something that for Barnabas because, like my player, it's hard sometimes for me to separate player knowledge from character knowledge and to maintain that separation at the table. Um, so I don't know. I don't know about you. I know a lot of us are RPG players. When you're at the table and you as a player, because you've played for so long, you know all the monsters, you know all the stories. Sometimes you know the adventure hooks. You've read the modules or adventure paths that you're playing. Um, so how do you keep that player knowledge separate from your character knowledge and maintain that kind of narrative integrity to the story? Like it's almost to me like cheating if you know the story ahead of time and you make your character make decisions based on what you know as a player. A good example is the first time your character encounters a troll. Like almost everybody who plays D&D or Pathfinder know that trolls are susceptible to fire or acid damage, and that's what stops their regenerative powers, etc., etc. But your character doesn't know that. So how would you, bring that across at the table? Like, not going immediately for your fire or acid damage weapons or alchemical bombs or whatever. Sometimes I think that's hard, especially for veteran players or players who also are DMs, GMs. That knowledge just kind of tends to bleed into what your character does. I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on that? You know my thoughts. While we're thinking about that, let's put some of this. Yes, very carefully, as you should with everything in life, right? Very carefully. Arcane rune. When it dries, it might look better. Sure, yeah, I think, any adventurer, when they encounter a monster for the first time, are going to like question what the heck is this? And if you're playing Pathfinder 1E, you can certainly make a knowledge check. You can recall knowledge in Pathfinder 2nd Edition to learn something about that creature you're facing. And that could be a good way to do that. Especially if your character is knowledge based, right? Someone who is, inquisitive or, intelligent about the world around them. Someone like a barbarian just might charge right into them and, figure it out later. Yeah, just power through the regeneration, right? And then figure it out. Or make another character figure it out. Okay, so we have got most of the color done on our second uh, Earth Elemental or Stone Golem, whatever. The kit says it's an Earth Elemental, so that's what we'll call it. Um, so I hope, Peliquin, this kind of translates into your slate gray color you were hoping for this. Uh, what might be fun is, we could play around and add like some, little mossy spots or something, but I don't know. We want to get these on the table as soon as possible, right? Get these going against your characters. So this is, this model is completely dry. So we got a gray and kind of a mossy brown stone color. We'll add a little bit of white to the base and get some snow effect going. Maybe clean up the bases a little bit. But yeah, these are pretty close to being done, I would think. So when we meet again next week, which we will be back here on next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, to keep going through this kit, we'll probably add some finishing touches onto our Earth Elementals. But we have some other models to think about, like what do we want to do next in this crazy kit? Here's some of the models, if we can get this to focus. Um, there we go. Sort of. We've got some bandit archers that kind of have like some crossbowmen riding on some mountain goats. That's kind of fun. And we've got some lancers that are on the mountain goats the same. The pictures on here, these are molded in a very dark gray, so it's kind of hard to see the detail of them in these pictures. We have just some standard sword and board bandits with kind of almost like a Northman Nordic feel to them. We've got a couple, looks like 4 crossbowmen, and then a couple of these elementalists that are using the same rune. They're kind of holding a chain with the same rune that's on the Earth Elemental. So, what are your thoughts? We could go right into these elementalists and kind of tie them in thematically to our Earth Elementals that we have just about finished, and see if that rune effect works on that same charm or talisman. What do you think, chat? You let me know. You pick what we do next time. I kind of like the poses on the sword and board guys, but that's me. All right. So while you're thinking about that, don't forget to tune in on Monday to Barnabas Brushes will be back for My Miniature Mondays. Something with the goats. Okay, well, all right, we can think about that. Um, those do look fun, honestly. Uh, those guys riding the mountain goats. Um, where was I? Oh yeah, Barnabas brushes my miniature Mondays. Well, we'll be working on some of my own personal collection cleanup, some commission work. We got a couple clients that are working through their Hero Quest board game stuff. I've got any number of things we can work on there to get through this pile of shame that is all over my desk, all over my closets. Uh, get some stuff done, which is the great thing about speed paints. Really, with the throughput that these guys uh, help create for a painter, my miniature painting throughput has definitely gone up over the last year. We'll be back live Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Elite Encounters channel for the continuation of the Soul Severed campaign. We'll see what's in that abandoned blacksmith smithy. I'm a little worried that Barnabas is going to be in a bad shape. All right, so it looks like 2 votes for goats. So it looks like we're going to do somebody riding a goat next week. So I'll work on getting those at least primed up, and we'll start playing with those. Thursday, tomorrow, don't forget at 8 o'clock Eastern to check out Overwatch's channel. We'll be streaming some video games, maybe some Farm Simulator. That's always hilarious, in my opinion. What else? Oh, yeah, 50 followers here, and we're going to give away that miniature. So if you aren't following the channel already and you're watching, please give us a follow. If you know anybody out there in Twitch land that can give us an extra follow, we'd appreciate it. Getting us to that goal of reaching that affiliate status with Twitch. And we'd like to repay in kind by giving out a miniature prize. For the Elite Encounters channel, over on the Twitch channel for them, check out the links to the other areas of content. We are dual streaming now on YouTube, so you can watch all of our stuff right here on Twitch or on YouTube live as we're shooting, or on demand, for the week after. YouTube, the videos on demand stay up in perpetuity. We do have podcast versions of the Soul Severed campaign that are loading up on your favorite podcast platform. You do have to search for Soul Severed. And some things in the works in the background that we're hopefully going to get out and announce. But to do all of these things, to continue to bring more and more content and more, have better tech, better materials to paint with, we do kind of need your support. So be sure to check out the Patreon over on our Elite Encounters channel. We have 4 easy tiers. They're easy to remember. They're with, yes, definitely check out the Patreon. 4 easy tiers. They're the same proficiency tiers as the Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules. Coming in at, an easy support of the channel at $2 a month. You get access to our Discord, our Patreon Discord, where you can chat with cast. You can talk to us about our characters, our story. We have a $5 tier, we have a $10 tier, and a $15 tier. Each of those tiers above the $2 have physical rewards that we'll be sending out to you to thank you for helping support us. So if you can, be sure to check that out. We would certainly appreciate it. We know that times are a little sticky financially, I think, for everyone out there. Things are expensive, and we appreciate that. So every little bit helps us continue to come into your lives and give you a little bit of respite and hopefully entertainment in this fantasy role-playing game world that us nerds like to call home. So until next time, we will see you. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night.